There's a couple of times throughout the series where you'll see Gojo, Itadori, and Megumi all sneeze when somebody else is talking about them, or like they'll get slightly irritated, or like Itadori's talking about like how, yeah, I like Megumi, but he seems like a little this way or that way. And then it pans over and cuts to Megumi talking with Mai, and it's just like, what's wrong? He's like, I just got oddly irritated. And I don't know if you've ever had experiences like that beforehand where like you'll all of a sudden just feel off, or you'll feel strange, or like maybe you'll even sneeze just out of the blue, like there's no allergies or anything like that. The reason for that is because, and you'll want to stick through for the whole video to be able to hear these types of things, because we're going to go into a little bit deeper concepts, but like if you just want the bare bones rough answer to it, it's because somebody else was sharing that energy with you in some way, shape, or form. We're going to get into that a bit more, so like if you want to stick around, because like this channel is dedicated to helping you improve. It's helping you look at the world in a different perspective through using anime references to help you look at the world in different angles, because I figure like if I will like anime and I like also personal development, self-growth, and spirituality, and like all these strange, weird, esoteric, like physical, metaphysical concepts kind of like we are presented within Jujutsu Kaisen and other animes, then you can subscribe to the channel to watch more of these types of videos like this, since I release them on a daily basis when I'm on the roll, and when I take some time off to come up with new ideas, then we take a little bit of a break and then we come back and we start to do it again. So if that's something you're interested in, you can sub to the channel. Otherwise, we'll jump right back in. So basically, like you'll see these people like Gojo, Itadori, or Megumi like sneeze or become irritated for some odd reason. It's like, why is that? And then it's funny how they do it, because it's instantly. It's from like talking about this one thing of like, oh hey, I felt this thing, and it's just like, oh now I feel weird, or it's like I sneeze, and it's like, what's going on? It's because somebody else was talking about you in that said scenario. You might not necessarily be able to identify it or feel it, but this is what I like about Itadori and Jujutsu Kaisen and the whole series within itself, is because it shows these other hidden underlying layers that is a truth to at least myself. It might not necessarily be a truth to you. It can start to become a truth to you. It does take some time. It does take some practice. It will take some repetition, and it will take some breaking down of your beliefs, because if you believe that it is true, then it will become true. And that's why I like these small little subtle things, and I didn't pick up on it at first either, and that's why I'm sharing these things with you, because I'm like, if I didn't pick up on it on the first watch through, I kind of had like a general idea. As you can see this in, I believe it's in One Piece as well too, like when somebody does sneeze, when somebody's talking about something, it's like, why are you sneezing? And it's like, oh, somebody must be talking about me. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Some people are like, no, that's crazy. It's like, it's kind of true. Like, obviously there's always going to be, everybody's talking about you in some way, shape, or form, or maybe they're not. Who really knows? Because it could also be in different references as well. It really comes down to your own belief system of what you believe to be true. But from what I've been able to see for people that I'm close with, you can start to pick up on their vibrations, because there's this whole concept that I've been doing a lot of studying around, and I've talked with a lot of other people around this. Like there's this dude that I met at the hot springs that I ended up going to near my hometown, and I don't know why I ended up going to the hot springs on the day that I did, but I ended up taking a 3.5 hour drive out to the hot springs just to sit in there for a couple of hours in the middle of a snowstorm. And I know why now when I look back at this said experience, because I went there to meet this older gentleman, and he was telling me about how he knew this guy back in the day, where he had this like, he'd wear this like little belt type of thing, and he'd be able to like touch on it with his fingers to tap into like different frequencies. Because if you're under the same understanding that I am, and I can touch on this very briefly, where there is just really vibrations, like vibrational aspects of like everything's vibrating at a certain speed. The desk that you like may be sitting at right now as you watch this, there's molecules within that said desk that are vibrating at a speed that is too fast for you to be able to like identify, so it creates a physical object. It's the same thing with like the phone that you're holding, the speakers that you're listening to, like everything's energies. It's just like how you're able to listen to like Bluetooth headphones, because like the energies are being able to be transported through the wavelengths through vibrations that you can't necessarily see and or be aware of, yet they're always happening in the exact same way. It's kind of like turning on a light switch or turning off a light switch. There's vibrations that are happening and a mechanism that's happening to turn on and to turn it off. So being able to have that understanding of being able to know that the people that you're closest with, you can tap into those same frequencies. You can tap into those same vibrations. Like I was at the gym the other day, and I was talking with this, well, I wasn't actually talking with her. And maybe I already said this in one of the other videos, and if I do apologize. But I'd like to reiterate myself, because I've noticed that that's what a lot of people do. And some people may come in and watch this video for the first time, and they may have never heard of me. Where then there's other people that have, like yourself, that have been watching this for a while. So I have to kind of like tailor my videos to somewhat of a wider audience, along with like keeping it specific for you yourself that does continually come back to watch these videos each and every single time. It's something that I like to do. It's something that I have been working on. Whereas if you do want to have like personal one-on-one coaching with me, so it doesn't have to be as like wide as it has been, like you can just book a call down below, 30 minutes. We can see if we jive. If not, no worries, but I just want to toss that out there. So when I was talking with this girl at the gym, And her and I, we were having this conversation. Not even really a conversation, but I was doing the pit shark. The pit shark is a machine where like you have a belt around you, and then there's like a hook, and then like there's a little like a thing that you hook onto, and then you have these two handle things where you hold on to it, and like you squat, but all the weight is on your hips instead of like a normal squat where it's like all on your back, and you're having to like keep everything nice and tight. And there's nothing wrong. Both of them work. Nonetheless, I was doing that exercise, and then one of these girls that I had known for a little while, I've only talked with her a couple of times, she ended up coming by, and I was finishing up my rep, and I was taking the weight off of my machine, and I had the thought, I was going to put it on her machine just because I just thought it'd be funny to do something like that. And then as soon as I was about to do that, like I didn't end up doing that thing, but she's like, I swear you were going to put the weight on my machine. And I was like, I was testing it. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just like doing these things. I got to see whether or not this person understands what this person doesn't understand. Like, can we tap into the same frequencies? Can we tap into the same understanding? Can we tap into the same reality that isn't physically able to be seen, yet it is able to be seen on the mental plane, on the spiritual plane, on the higher plane of understanding, which is exactly what you see in Jujutsu Kaisen. There's only a very small minority of people that have this said gift. So our community is so small. It's why the people that watch the videos, such as yourself, like you do have a gift. You do have an ability that not many people have, because you're able to perceive what I'm talking about right now, where there isn't that many people out there that are able to perceive these types of concepts, or they just choose not to. So when I was able to touch into that with her, she's like, are you on drugs? I was like, no, I'm just like on the essence of the universe. And she was like, okay. But then like when I come back, like I was like, she's laughing, I'm laughing, just like what I'm like, it's because we know, like we just know. And she got that, I got that, we both knew that we got that. But like you have to have that understanding of it in the first place, because it takes time, it takes practice, it takes repetition. It's why I took off this past year, as I've told maybe a couple of you, why I took off the past year to understand these things, because I'm like, if this is happening in like animes where all of a sudden you sneeze or you get irritated out of the blue, it's like, where's that coming from? Because like in one moment you could be feeling on top of the world, you could be feeling fantastic, you could be feeling like $1,000,000, and then all of a sudden it's just like you get all irritated. It's like, where did that come from? It's like, what is that? Like, why is that feeling here? It's like, it's probably not even your feeling. You probably just tapped into something that you weren't able to necessarily perceive in the first place. And now, all of a sudden that you tapped into that said thing that you weren't able to perceive in the first place, now you have this weird irritation, or you're sneezing, or you have these different feelings. And it's like, this is strange. It's because you started to tap into a different frequency. You started to tap into a different vibration. You started to tap into somebody else's that might not necessarily be yours. And this is why I highly recommend meditating. There's a good meditation technique that I highly recommend that you do end up trying. It's something that's a little bit more advanced, I would say, because it does take some sort of awareness to be able to pick up on these said things, because a lot of the meditations that you may be doing right now, and this is something that you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second, so just bear with me for a couple of minutes. What it is that you're wanting to do is, most meditation techniques that I've done in the past, maybe that you've tried, like it's about focusing on your breath, but like when you're focusing on your breath, you're controlling your breath still. So the thing that you want to be able to do is not control your breath per se, but just like have your breath naturally have its natural rhythm and be able to pay attention to it then. And as you pay attention to it then, something crazy is going to happen. It's really weird. I've had a lot of transcendental experiences by doing this type of meditation. As I just am aware of my breath, I start to notice on the subtleties of like when it changes from an inhale to an exhale, from an inhale to an exhale, from an inhale to an exhale. It's very subtle. It's very interesting, but like I can't necessarily put it into words per se. It's something that you can only experience. At least that's something that I've been able to notice. Is it's something that I can only experience in this said moment, in this said like time. And that's something that if you can pick up on the subtleties of your breath, of your inhale and your exhale changing, I want you to imagine the subtleties that you could pick up on people's speech patterns, on the different vibrations that are in the world that are happening all around you, the ability to identify your own feelings versus somebody else's feelings, or your own beliefs from somebody else's beliefs. Because as I was talking about in one of the recent videos, is we are just byproducts of our environment. And by us being byproducts of our environment, now all of a sudden, if we're byproducts of our own environment, that means that you can change the environment that you're in to change the byproduct of who you are. And you actually have to just change your own internal state, your own internal self, to be able to have that overcomingness of being able to identify new areas of yourself. all I can say is that if you do want to be able to identify like the vibrations in the world, and you can start to pick up on certain tonalities or different speech patterns, or if you want to be able to pick up on like other people's thought patterns and like be able to predict the future before you actually see it happen, then this is something that I have been working on for a very long time. It's something that I would like to share with you as well too, because we all have our own unique gifts, and it's a matter of being able to find them and figure them out. And at the end of the day, like, this is just something that I would leave with you, is if you do want to have, if you do want to have this understanding that you can tap into different vibrations, you can tap into different frequencies, you can tap into the knowing of somebody else to be able to have the knowing of yourself, and it's going to trip you out. It tripped me out. I had to break down a lot of beliefs. I had to let go of a lot of things that I once thought to be true. And then once I started to do those said things, now all of a sudden it's like things are starting to open up in new ways, because now I can tap into the different frequencies. I can tap into these different beings. I can tap into this different state, and I can tap into all these different areas that I hadn't originally been able to tap into in the first place. And with that being said, you can do the exact same thing. It's a practice. It's repetition. Like, you have to go out into the world each and every single day to make it happen. The more you do that, the better you're going to get. The better you get, the more you're going to want to do it. And it's a never-ending perpetual cycle, because then it's like, well, this is fun. Like, I tapped into this. Okay, like, let me try it again. And then you go out and you tap into it again. And some people get it more than other people, but like, I wanted to primarily just like exist in one plane of like just being able to be like with those high value individuals. But it was killing a certain aspect of myself too, because I like being with like all types of people. I like hearing all these different types of stories. I like getting different perspectives. So I have to be able to be willing to go into one world and be in the other world. And we were talking about this, or I was talking about this the other day with a couple of friends of mine, where she's like, you have to choose one to be in. I was like, well, do you really? Like, do I have to? Like, I can be this way and I can still do these other things, because now I'm being of service to other people that are a couple steps behind me. And I'm helping them level up their frequencies, their vibrations, so that they can attract more of what they want in their life. And if I'm able to do that for them, then I can also do that for myself, because we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always growing in some way, shape, or form. And that's why I want to help you out. It's why I help out a lot of other people. It's why I do the things that I do. And I also just genuinely enjoy talking and sharing these ideas with the people that are wanting to resonate. And even if people weren't wanting to listen to it or whatever it may be, like, I'd still be making these videos. Clearly, I've been doing this for like 3+ years at this point in time. I think it's actually 4 now. It's just crazy. Like, this is one of the longest things that I've ever done when it comes down to content and anime, or just like ideas, which I find fascinating. And it's always changing. It's always evolving. It's never the same, which is maybe the reason why it hasn't grown in the ways that I want it to. But it's also growing in the exact ways that it needs to, because it's growing in the ways that like I'm connecting with the people that I need to connect with. And as I said, it's just like being a jiu-jitsu sorcerer. Not everybody's going to resonate with the thing that you have to say. The right people will resonate with it, and it's why like only certain people have these gifts, and the smaller the audience is, the better, because it means that it's more in tune with the right people that are needing to hear these types of messages. Because some people that I've talked with, where I told them, I'm like, oh, I just need somebody who must be talking about me. They're like, what are you talking about? It's crazy. But then I've also run into other people that do get these ideas, that do get these concepts, that are like, oh yeah. Yeah, you sneeze because like somebody's talking about you, or it's like, oh yeah, you have money coming along the way. Like, it's all about just your own belief systems. It's all about the things that you want to understand. But I just like how the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen picked up on that. And whenever each story was talking about Megami, then it panned to him. Or whenever each story was talking about Gojo, it panned to him. Or whenever Megami was talking about Itadori, it panned to him. And then they showed the sneeze or the irritation. So next time you're feeling a certain way, I'd suggest to you to be like, is this truly my feeling? Or is this somebody else tapping into my frequency that I allowed for them to tap into? And now I'm picking up on whatever they're bringing out, and now I'm feeling a certain way that I didn't want to feel in the first place. Because in all likelihood, that might be the case if you're feeling on top of the world at one point, and then all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit less. If that is something that is the case, then by all means, like, just check it and see. Ask yourself, like, is this mine, or where is this coming from? Like, is this coming from me, or is this coming from somebody else? And if you do that meditation that I talked about earlier in the video, this will help you out tremendously, and you'll start to grow in new ways and new leaps and new bounds, and you'll be able to tap into things and see things that you never wanted to see. And that's obviously if you want to. If you don't want to, then you can keep doing what you always have been doing and keep getting the results that you have. Or you can start to share these ideas, you can start to experiment with them and start to experience a new reality that you never knew existed in the first place.